Hello. Welcome to the 2021 Synod Assembly Orientation Program. I'm Pastor Larry Smoose. I'm the Synod Parliamentarian, and the Bishop has also asked me to do this orientation. The purpose of the Assembly is to conduct the business of the Synod. That includes voting for vacant offices, adopting a budget, hearing reports on the mission of the Synod and its related institutions. And regarding that, I would encourage you to go to our virtual mission center to learn firsthand about some of that work. You'll also have a chance to learn about the work of the larger church. An awful lot of people don't really understand how much the larger church does, the ELCA. And so you're going to have an opportunity to hear and see some of the work that it does, and you can take that back to your own congregation. I encourage you to make a report of the work of the church beyond your community to your congregation so that they can also understand what a vital organization the ELCA is. Robert's Rules of Order govern our business. They include a number of rules of procedure. For example, a quorum is 50% of those who are voting members. Once a quorum is called, it remains in effect unless it's challenged. The ELCA, when it was formed, also set some representation principles. 60% of the total body of the assembly must be laity, and half of those should be women and half should be men. We try our best to make those representations when we do our business. All the rostered ministers under call are voting members. There is also a goal of having at least 10% people of color and or primary language other than English at the assembly. That's not usually an issue with our synod, but in some synods it is a concern. Also, there is no proxy voting. This year, we have quite a different process for requesting to speak. When the chair opens a speaking queue, you can click the speaker queue icon in the upper left menu bar. It looks like a double speech bubble. The list of possibilities regarding the reason you want to speak will be on the screen above the chat box. You then type in the word that identifies the purpose of your coming to the microphone. You also enter your name and your congregation, and then you click Send. This puts you in the queue. Once you are in the queue, you will wait until you are called by the chair. And once the chair acknowledges you, you will raise the hand button in the Zoom meeting and receive an invitation to unmute from the host. At this time, you should accept the invitation to unmute and then turn on your camera and proceed with your comments. Speakers have 2 minutes unless the assembly votes to extend that amount of time. Here are the words to type in that indicate your desire to speak. These are the words that will be in that upper menu bar. If you want to make a motion, you type in move. If you want to second a motion, you type in second. If you're speaking for a motion, type in pro, and type in con if you're speaking against a motion. To amend a motion, you type in amend. If you want to reconsider a previous action, you type in reconsider. And only people who voted on the prevailing side of the issue can request to reconsider a previous action. If you want to object, then you can interrupt any speaker pending. Type in the word object, and when you are called upon, you say point of order, and then you state what you believe the violation is. This is one of the very few items that you can interrupt a speaker. If you want to challenge the ruling of the chair, you write in challenge. If you type in question, there are two possible actions. One is a point of information. You have a question, an inquiry as to the facts affecting the business at hand. That can interrupt any speaker pending. And when called upon, you say point of information and ask your question. The second possibility, when you type in question, is a personal privilege. This allows a member to interrupt pending business to state an urgent request, such as not being able to hear because of background noise, etc. And the chair determines if that can be handled informally or requires consideration before the pending business is resumed. Another use of personal privilege is to recognize a worthy person who is not a voting member, to request that they be able to speak to the pending motion. The Assembly can grant such a request by a 2/3 vote. If personal privilege is used to request a non-voting member to speak, but not on the pending resolution or order of business, it is normally requested at a pause in the business, before a recess, and so forth. And again, it will require a 2/3 vote to be granted. If you want to be removed from the speaking queue, you type in remove. If you want to refer the matter to another person or to another group or committee, you type in refer. If you want to end the debate, you type in end, and when it's your turn in queue, you say, I would like to call the question. That will end the debate, and if the Assembly agrees with you by a 2/3 vote, then it will not only end the debate, but it will immediately go to the vote for the pending issue. Postpone, if you type in postpone, it's a motion to postpone further debate and consideration of the vote. And table means to put on or to take from the table. If you type in division, you're requesting an exact count after a close voice vote, but at this Assembly our votes are going to be all done online, so that will not be an item that will be important. If you are a presenter, you have to give a report, or you're participating in worship. Then you type in presenter, and you'll be put in queue on the bishop's screen. Anytime you go to the microphone, again, be sure to repeat your name and your congregation. Reference and Counsel is the committee that's charged with reviewing resolutions that are submitted to the Assembly and recommending action for those resolutions. The deadline for submitting resolutions was March 27. If you missed that deadline, then you can still send in a resolution, and we would like to have that up to April 17. April 17. We're not welcoming resolutions past April 17th because there is not sufficient time for Reference and Counsel to do its review and make the recommendations on how to proceed. And before you can have that motion considered, it requires a 2/3 vote by the Assembly to consider any resolution submitted after the March 27 deadline. For motions and debate, you go to the chat room and let the chair know you want to speak by typing in move or amend or pro or con and so forth. You give your name and your congregation, and you indicate the reason you want to speak. That will put you in queue, and when it's your turn, your opportunity then is to address the Assembly. Write out motions before you speak. That allows us to have it ready to put up on the screen for those at the Assembly to see. Remember, whereas clauses describe the issue, the concern, or the problem. They are not acted upon by the Assembly. Only the resolved clauses that define the requested action are voted on by the Assembly. Memorials are actions that are petitions to the ELCA Assembly to appeal for some particular action. They cannot direct the Churchwide Assembly to vote in any particular way, but they can request them to vote on something that you think is important. They also must be submitted to the Reference and Counsel Committee. If you need help from the chair, you don't know where we are on voting on a particular motion, or you need to hear the motion again, then simply type in question and you'll have that point of information and be able to ask your question. Debate time is limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and that can be modified only by the Assembly. Reports, including the report of the Treasurer, are received. The only report that is adopted is the audit report. When a motion or resolution is put before the meeting, the voting will automatically pop up within the virtual platform on the left. Simply click on your selection to cast your vote, and you will see a confirmation of your vote on the screen. To change your vote, simply click on another selection. You may change your vote at any time while the voting period is open. Once the voting period is closed, your last vote is the one that will be submitted. On nominations, you can only have nominations from the floor during the first report of the nomination committee. This happens early in the Assembly, so be ready. Be sure the person is willing to take the office that you want to nominate them for. Have their bio ready and send it in beforehand along with a photo. Send it in beforehand along with a photo to Cinta Outerbridge. That is couterbridge@sepa.org. COUTTERBRIDGE@sepa.org. This information needs to be received by noon on April 23. By noon on April 23rd. The nomination form and bio information is available at ministrylink.org/nomination-form. Again, that is ministrylink.org/nomination-form. The representational principle can impact our elections, especially for Synod Council and the ELCA Assembly, and potentially some other boards. That means that if a person who is elected is white, and if we do not have at least 10% people of color or people whose primary language is other than English, then the person of color or whose primary language is other than English will supersede the last previously elected white person to that board. A majority is needed to elect, and remember that when you have an election, people are placed on the ballot in random order. If there is a second ballot, the people on that second ballot are not placed there according to the number of votes they received at the last election. It's by random order. And of course, you'll have a detailed report of all the results. When an election is put before the meeting, the ballot will automatically pop up within the virtual platform on the left, just as with motions. You click on all of your selections, and then you must press the send button to cast your vote if there is more than one person on the ballot, if there's more than one person to elect on the ballot. You only have to hit the send button if you have more than one choice to make. To change your vote, you simply click the cancel button and make your new selections, and then press send again. Once the voting period is closed, your last submitted ballot will be accepted. So I know it's a lot of information. I hope that you'll enjoy this assembly, and you'll be able to handle the changes we're making this year. It's going to be an interesting year for all of us. But thank you for being a part of this orientation. God bless you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at our assembly.